Hello, and welcome to more History 101. I am Professor Eric Martin here at Lewis Clark State College, and what I want to do in today's short video is I want to just say a few words to help set up Chapter 6 from Worlds of History, and this is the chapter that is focusing on moving from tribal religions to universal religions. And I think the first thing for you to think about is to make sure you understand the title of the chapter. What does it mean to go to be practice a tribal religion? Who would a tribal religion be accessible to? And to whom would a universal religion be accessible to? So we're looking at the transformation of two different major religious groupings. So the two examples we're using are the Hindu-Buddhist tradition, and then also the Judeo-Christian tradition. Now, there's a little twist in both of these. The Hindu-Buddhist tradition also includes those Vedic age documents from Chapter 3, looking at identity, caste, and territorial societies. So go back and take a look at your notes on that. The stuff on the Rig Veda, the Upanishads, the two different selections from the Upanishads that we had, and also the material from the Bhagavad Gita. Because, you know, in a lot of real ways, there's nothing called Hinduism. I mean, there is, but Hinduism is a word that the British give to a whole number of related religions that they run into in South Asia. But there's a lot of different variety and a lot of differences in these related religions. So we're going to call it Hinduism, but just kind of keep that in mind as we think about the relationship. And also keep in mind you've got a Vedic tradition in which the Brahmins are really promoting an idea of reincarnation and the caste system as a way of achieving your small soul's unification with the large soul, right? And there begins to be some resentment towards the power of the Brahmins. And we can see that developed, it's a little bit out of place in terms of the time, in the Bhagavad Gita document back in Chapter 3. And the Bhagavad Gita, that really is a Hindu version of a salvation religion. Krishna is to Hinduism what Jesus is to Judaism. He transforms everything. He makes it a lot simpler. And he makes it more appealing. So go back and take a look at that. He makes it more appealing to a wider number of people. So go back and take a look at those documents. Review our discussion on that. This week, we continue with that line of discussion, but we use another selection from the Upanishads. And in this selection, pay attention to what the focus is. It is a guideline or a set of guidelines for meditation. Why would the Brahmins, the top of the caste system, the priests in charge of ritual, see this development in religion, focusing on meditation, as a threat to their power? Because they do. That's something to think about. The next three documents in that Hindu-Buddhist category are Buddhist. And Buddhism is a direct outgrowth of Hinduism. The mission is the same. The method is different. So as you go through these documents, keep in mind, how do you see Buddhism? How do you see its relationship to Hinduism, and what seem to be the social issues that they're attempting to deal with? And then finally, that last document on the Mahayana Buddhism, then that's an additional transformation of Buddhism. So keep that in mind, because it's not really as complicated as I've made it sound. But what we're looking at in these 4 documents in Chapter 6 is a transformation of Hinduism into Buddhism and then continued growth of Buddhism. So keep in mind, how do you see the religion changing? How do you see them spreading in different directions? And what are the relationships that you see between them? And then, keep in mind too, what makes a universal religion appealing in this case. Okay, so that's one set of discussions I want us to have. And I want to keep our discussions into 2 separate categories this week. Might be more useful. The other discussion in the Riley book is officially laid out as Judeo-Christian discussion, and it is. But the video throws Zoroastrianism into it, and I think we need to discuss that. So the only place you're going to encounter that is in the video. So just pay attention. What is the connection between Zoroastrianism and Judaism, and then Judaism and Christianity? That's the simple part. Now, another thing to be on the lookout for in the documents for this week, and they're easier to see in the Judeo-Christian documents, is look how to see there might be revisions in primary sources, and the sources may have changed. Let me see if I can explain that clearly enough in just a short amount of time. Imagine an original primary source, and then an author has a hold of that source, and they use it to develop a new idea. How did the ideas in the original source stay the same? And how might the author have changed what was in that original source, portrayed it differently, either on purpose or on accident? Perhaps it is the story, the same story is told in one source, and the story is told in a later source, but the later source tells it differently, and the different telling of the story has an implication. And then enter another author who uses that second source to create a new source. You guys get the idea. So it's a little bit like playing the telephone game with primary sources. Pay attention to that, in particular with the documents on Judaism and Christianity. And I say that the same phenomena exists in the Hindu-Buddhist documents. But it's a little harder to find because the Hindu-Buddhist tradition conceives of time as a cycle, as a wheel. And therefore, the precise date of events is not as important in that tradition. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, time is conceived as a linear progression, moving from one thing to the next. So if you get the dates wrong, there are consequences for it. So accurate dating, accurate this before that, accurate cause and effect is much more important for the Judeo-Christian tradition. And therefore it's a little bit easier to see in their documents because they're trying to emphasize it. So keep an eye out for that stuff. Otherwise, carry along this week's material. It's all primary sources plus the video. So again, as usual, you got any questions about this stuff, you feel free to give me a call. You feel free to stop by the office. You feel free to drop me an email. We'll Skype. We'll do a Google Hangout. We'll do whatever we need to do to make sure that you are learning this material. And until next time, enjoy your historical studies.